September 13, 2007. My SEAL team was ambushed outside Fallujah, Iraq, and I was shot 8 times, guys, including one right to the face. But I got to tell you, it was watching my teammates struggle and nearly die that left the deepest wounds. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a new documentary called Waves in War. But in order to lay the context for that, I got to go back to the beginning, guys, back to that gunfight. But the reality is it actually went a little bit before that gunfight. 2 years prior, on a pivotal date, June 28, 2005, all of us that surrounded that gunfight were also tied back to the SEAL Team 10 downing that occurred with Operation Red Wings. That's right, the lone survivor story. And several of my teammates, Matty Roberts, DJ Shipley, and Marcus Capone, were all involved, and we were all around that mission. It was part of our troop. They were part of our teammates, and all of us remember that day as clear as a bell when the call came across that, hey, one of our helicopters was shot down trying to go after a high-level Taliban commander. And obviously, all of you know that story if you've watched the movie Lone Survivor or read the book Lone Survivor. That helicopter was shot down. I know that Marcus Capone and I were in Germany along with, I think DJ was in Germany at that time with one of our sister platoons when we found out about it. Matty Roberts was actually on that sister helicopter that flew in, and they literally watched out the window while the helicopter that had Eric Christensen, Mike McGreevy, and the rest of our teammates that were shot down that day. Those guys literally watched it happen in real time. Fast forward, it's what we do. We drive forward, man. We honor those lost, but we continue to operate. Even when we were in Afghanistan at that time, we had the memorial ceremony. Our commanding officer gave us 24 hours off, and then it was get back to work, guys. Focus on the mission. It's what we do. You don't get to go home because we're here for a job. But I know inwardly we were all struggling, all of us. And I can't even imagine Matty the most, who witnessed what happened. Fast forward, guys, got into my new troop. Matty Roberts was assigned. Marcus Capone would go on to operate at Naval Special Warfare Development Group, and it would be me, DJ Shipley, Matty, amongst all our other teammates. Fast forward to that night, September 13th, when we walked into that well-executed ambush by those Al-Qaeda fighters. I would be shot 8 times in that engagement. Rounds going across my body armor, 2 rounds striking me in the arm, rounds off my gun, shooting my night vision goggles off. I took a round in the helmet, rounds off my right side plate. I turned to get out of the way where the guys had fallen back. DJ Shipley had fallen behind a tree. Matty Roberts, at this point, before I was taking fire, and what happened is Luke Fenner, one of our teammates, everybody is out of the military now, so I can talk about this. But Luke Fenner was shot below the knee. He was out in front and to the left of me. I was trying to lay down fire. That's when Matty ran forward, grabbed Luke, and started to drag him back when Matt was shot 3 times by that enemy machine gun. Twice in the leg, once in the arm. Still such a beast, he managed to continue to drag himself and Luke back to that tire where they continued to return fire once they got back behind the tire. My team lead, Jay Aliassen, fell behind the tire. Our interpreter fell behind the tire. I was out front. That's when I got shot up. I realized this is a bad place to be, and that's when I got up and turned and tried to move back to where those guys were, and boom, I took that round in the face. That blew apart my face, blew out my right cheekbone, vaporized my orbital floor. It broke all the bones above my eye, and it knocked me out. The guys saw me fall in front of them, and suddenly I'm unconscious, pinned down, and they thought I was dead. That gunfight would last what we estimate to be 35 to 40 minutes, and I'm super fortunate to still be here. I owe my life to my teammates. I owe my life to that AC-130 gunship that was up overhead. We ended up calling in the closest fire mission ever executed in the Iraq War. In between those initial volleys of fire that came in, that took out or wounded the enemy, that shut down some of those machine guns, my team lead ran forward and got me under enemy fire. I owe my life to him. And the rest of the guys, Matty, Luke, DJ, the rest of those guys continue to fight. They got me back to the tire. They got a tourniquet on my arm. They packed my face until that medevac came in. So guys, miraculous. Doctors told me it was a miracle that I survived these devastating injuries. I would lose almost 50% of my blood supply. I would need eight transfusions over the next 96 hours as I flew to, they flew us initially to Baghdad, myself, Maddie, and Luke. From there, I went to Balad. The three of us then flew together to Landstuhl, Germany. And then I flew to Bethesda because of the severity of my injuries, and Maddie and Luke would fly to Portsmouth Naval Hospital. They weren't quite as critical, and it would be months before I would see them. While I was in Bethesda, I went on to put that sign on my hospital door that went on to make national attention, guys. And I'll tell you, that sign, and so often I talk about it, that sign on the door became like my flag that I planted in the soil. It became my new mission statement. Like, you're the overcome guy. You're going to drive forward. You're going to overcome these injuries. And don't get me wrong, guys. There were so many days that were hard. I had so many setbacks. It would take 4 years and 40 surgeries to put me back together. It would ultimately end my operational career. For 2 years, I thought I'd get back operational. And it brought everything to an end. And I would cross paths every year. I'd reach out to my teammates and everybody would be good, but I started to notice that Maddie would not chime in anymore. And the guys would tell me, yeah, man, he's on the West Coast. You know, he's doing pretty good. You know, it's interesting. All of us put on this brave face, man. Us tough guys, type A's. Oh, yeah, man, I'm good. I'm good. I would end up struggling from the invisible wounds of war 3 or 4 years after my injuries until finally Erica called me out. And thankfully, she called me out, and I sought out help. I went and met the chaplain. I went and met our psychs, and I started exploring all these different modalities, from hyperbaric treatment to stellate ganglion block to magnetic resonance therapy, and being super deliberate and intentional and reminding myself, like, you have a mission. You have these kids. You're the overcome guy. And pursuing all these modalities made a difference. What I didn't realize is my teammates were slowly dying inside. Marcus Capone, who had gone on to Naval Special Warfare Development Group, was majorly spiraling. He did several more combat deployments, but was so numb to the impacts of war and the loss of our teammates that he lost his way and was on the verge of divorce. Not much of a connection with his kids and his wife said, you've got to figure something out, which led him to start to explore, what else can I do? And it led them down the path to finding out about psychedelics, which is like this taboo subject that everybody's like, you know, you're a drug addict, or you're doing this, or, you know, LSD and all these crazy things. But what they began to figure out, and Marcus had to leave the country, as all these guys do. These psychedelics are still illegal here in the United States of America. But I tell you what, it was life-changing for Marcus. And he did ibogaine, and he did psilocybin, and some other things that are part of this process. And I'll be the first to admit, guys, I did not do that. I found other ways. But I'll tell you what, it absolutely changed everything for Marcus. He was finally able to let go of so many of the demons and the guilt that comes along with combat trauma, along with riding on this speeding bullet train that is part of being in special operations and combat. And it reset things for him. He was able to reconnect with his wife and kids. He was so passionate about it, he created the VETS organizations. The VETS organization that was focused on how to provide psychedelic treatment to our veterans. DJ Shipley, another teammate of mine, obviously that gunfight we were in, one of the most vicious that he had ever been in his entire career, and the same thing. Continue to drive forward in his career, but continue to have greater and greater separation and that numbness to the people around him. And Matty Roberts, the same thing, man. Just cutting people off, going through the motions, and just numb. Marcus knew these guys were struggling, and he had started VETS. He was starting to bring guys down there, and that's when he invited DJ and Maddie to come. Guys, In Waves and War, this documentary on Netflix is about that journey. I'm not going to let you know, aside from the fact it fundamentally saved these guys' lives. DJ was at rock bottom, Maddie was at rock bottom, and what Marcus found, and what so many veterans out there are finding, is it resets. Sean Ryan talks about it on his show, how this psychedelic treatment has changed their lives and reset their focus and their awareness and brought them back to actually feeling, because so often so many of our combat veterans are just numb. So guys, I want to tell you I am so thankful and I'm so proud of both Marcus Capone and Amber. Marcus, for you going down the journey, I know I talk about it with everybody, to get off the X. I don't care how much you want to pull someone off the X. If they're not willing to get off the X on their own, they never will. You know, you could have an entire army drag you off that X and you'll climb back onto it. So Marcus, for making that decision to overcome and get off the X, bro, I salute you, man. I love you, and I'm so happy to see that you healed and you came back together, and you and Amber now have such an amazing mission through vets. And for DJ and Maddie to see what you guys have gone through, that you have found peace, and the things that you guys are doing with your companies, and Maddie with a new spouse, all of that is just absolutely amazing. So guys, here's the deal. Here's my do out today. So many people want to make a big deal out of the bullets that I sustained in combat and the things that I went through. So many people want to make big deals. It used to drive me insane when I ran my nonprofit and I would bring wounded warriors and they couldn't see the scars. And the audacity of people to come up to me and say, hey Jay, the next time, can you bring guys who are missing limbs, or, you know, who have messed up faces like you do? And I remember back then I used to bite my tongue. But as the years went by, I would call them out and I would say, you know, you have no clue what you're talking about. The physical wounds pale in comparison to the invisible wounds that we carry home with the loss of brothers, and the intensity and trauma that comes from being in vicious gunfights and seeing, you know, people's insides on their outside after the aftermath of combat. So here's the deal. I want you guys to go watch Waves in War. It's an amazing inspirational story on Netflix that highlights what Marcus went through, what DJ Shipley went through, what Maddie Roberts went through, and seeing that journey and where they are on the other side. And for the rest of you, if you are a wounded warrior, if you are someone that's been through trauma, and guys, this goes to everybody out there, whether it's combat veterans, whether it's military members, whether it's anyone who has been, whether you're a civilian and been through trauma. Trauma is trauma. I don't care if it happens on the battlefield or if it happens through the battlefields of life. Sexual trauma, emotional trauma, physical trauma. Guys, it's the same. And the great thing is, if you've tried everything, man, psychedelics are doing some amazing things. I can't guarantee it'll help you. A lot of people are like, Jay, have you done it? And I'll be honest, I haven't. The answer is I haven't. And I don't think I need to, guys. I've come to grips with the demons that I've faced in my life. But I tell you what, for any of our guys that are struggling, I recommend it. And if you're struggling out there, watch this documentary and check out VETS, Marcus Capone's organization, because I tell you what, it changed their lives. Maybe it could change yours.